Timothy Otieno dealing with some bread and butter and pillow issues there with respect to the naming of children and the use of the name of the biological father on birth certificate, something that has stirred quite a bit of debate and has been part of the Kenyan debate for quite a bit of time, except it hasn't come to the fore quite recently. Let's move on to some political issues with respect to polling, and IPSOS has just released a poll today on various political issues, including the dates of the election, what you think about when the date of the election is, when you'd like that date of the election, amongst some other issues. The first slide that we have here is about the date of the next election, and we can see 65% of people in urban areas believe that know the date of the next election, which is of course August 2017. But the total, again corresponding to this, between here 65 and 64, the average here is 64% of the people polled in this most recent poll believe that the date of the next general election is August 2017. But the question is, how many people actually want that date to remain as it is, or have it moved to December of the same year? Let's just go to the next slide on the same. The next slide talks about that exact question, and the numbers are quite staggering. As we get to the next slide, there we go. 80% in Nyanza, 71% in the Rift Valley, 68 in Central, 64 in Nairobi, tapering down all the way to Coast Province. But the national average is around the 60s, the high 60s and high 70s with respect to that. How many people support the changing of the date? A number of people have had that debate already, having that been the tradition quite a number of years ago. Another thing that was polled in this most recent poll is the confidence level that members of the public have in the Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission to hold the next election. We've heard what CORD leader Raila Odinga has said with respect to that many times, including saying that CORD may boycott the next election if the commissioners that are there right now stay in office. That response, quite interestingly, if we just move on to the next slide as well, 42% in total believe or have confidence in the IEBC as the body that should oversee the next general election. 42% is not a very good or very strong percentage, but there still are quite a number of months and years to the next general election. That could change. As the saying goes, a day in politics is a very long time, and a day in administration as well of political contests like this could be a very long time. We have new leadership, at least at the secretariat level. Next, that was polled, supporters of the proposal by the African Union to establish an African Human Rights Court as a substitute for the International Criminal Court. We've heard what the pollsters have said about William Ruto's current case. A majority, and that was polled in this poll, a majority of people, or rather not a majority, but 50% of the people polled said that William Ruto, Deputy President William Ruto's case should be terminated. Another 50% say that it should continue. That's still on a knife edge with respect to that opinion. But here, very interestingly, thinking about whether the African Human Rights Court, as had been suggested and supported by the government with $1 million earlier on this year, should be the court to handle these kinds of cases. 54% in total think that that is what should happen with respect to that court. Moving on back to local issues about CORD leader Raila Odinga, and the question here was what is Raila Odinga's future? What is Raila Odinga's future? A number of issues, a number of questions were raised, a number of options. Whether he should retire from politics entirely, he should continue to lead or work with his political party but not contest the general election, or should he remain active in politics and run for the next general election? The opinions here are quite interesting. 33%, the people in red here, say he should retire from politics, of course. 33% say he should retire. 34%, not a very big percentage in it, just 1% in it, say that he should continue running. The drilling down on these statistics, especially with regard to the popularity, for instance, of the parties within the CORD coalition, show that the majority of the people in CORD are ODM supporters, and that could account for the low showing here with 34%. That, of course, is a heartbeat of politics and administration with respect to the IBC at this point, Yvonne. Quite a number of issues with respect to that. We will be looking at more Ipsos polls and, of course, analyzing them. But in studio, I believe we have some very, very new, fresh eggs.
We will get to those youngins in just a moment.